Hey guys and girls, PTK back with another Flesh and Blood video, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that have sold recently, some graded, some sealed and single, some of the high value item cards that have sold over the last couple of weeks to month or two really. Some purchased by myself and very many others weren't purchased myself. So, you know, for full transparency really, I don't see a lot of the sales data for these kind of cards don't get shared too publicly. Obviously now they are obviously on eBay sold for the most part, but most people use Cardmarket or TCG Player if you are in the US for pricing, and if you don't necessarily always see these sold, it's quite hard and difficult to do. So that's what I'm going to be doing regularly. I don't know, it's going to be a video series that I'll do as and when really there's enough data to talk about. I know Seho talks about some of the bits as well, but obviously I'm involved in some of these deals as well, so I will talk about some of them, you know, as long as both parties are happy with that. The thing with Fab is it's quite hard to price. When you've got things that don't sell very often, it can be hard, and you know that can be to the gain of the buyer or the seller really. But you know, for full transparency, I think having sales data like you do with other card games is always welcomed. So I'm going to put screenshots on here as well. But I recommend using 130 point is the best thing to track sales, because eBay, its actual website and app itself, the solds don't always show if you've taken a best offer. And sometimes it's a little bit weird, but when you look at 130 point, it does in fact take what the price was paid for these. So a couple of recent ones as well that I want to talk about is you have a 9.5 Hardened Cross Strap cold foil from Alpha, and that went for $90, which is really cheap. I think these were on auction actually. They were Cardletics, I think, was the seller. He had a few cards that sold, I think, recently, but not all of them did sell. The other one was a Goliath Gauntlet cold foil as well. That was $180, which is a bit more, you know, closer to what the value I think it probably should be at. Now, obviously, the market for these things is pretty shit, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. For Whack First, you know, Welcome to Rave, Arcane Rising, Crucible War, for a lot of gold foils, for, you know, more expensive promos, for a lot of these collectible pieces and higher end items, they are at potentially, you know, the lowest of the lows, and there's still room for some of them to move down. Not all of them will do. I think we're not going to see Alpha cold foils and 9.5 probably this cheap. I don't see it. I think people are collecting these again, so you know, new collectors come in, you know, older collectors, so I can't really see them going that cheap. A couple of bits that I picked up recently actually, which were quite good. So I picked up a gold foil Goliath Gauntlet, which is here. This is gold foil. This is a quad plus, I think, and I paid 200 for that, £200. So I think that's around $250. But I'll have a conversion fee at the bottom here, which I thought was a really good price. I've been buying a couple of slabs off certain sellers and just sort of doing deals, bundles. I know a cold foil Shiana, which was a PCG 9 and a 9.5 twinning blade. That sold for $1,000, which was around £750 to £700 recently on eBay UK, which is relative to the market, right? You know, I think the twinning blades are a really good pickup in a 9.5. I think it's such a beautiful card. Shiana is pretty common, to be honest, and it's not as well in kind of in demand really. You know, Shiana Rainbow Foil is really cheap, so the cold foil being as cheap as it is now, especially raw anyway, or 9 is generally a raw rating in terms of value, then it, you know, it makes sense. Another thing I picked up was a Skullbone Cross Wrap cold foil from Arcane Rising First Edition. This is a quad. I got this relabeled with the new PCG labels. It was an old label, so thanks to Ollie and the team at PCG UK for sorting that out for me. That was £300. So again, I'll put the dollars at the bottom. So I paid £300 for that. I thought it was a really good price for a cold foil legendary from the first two sets. Now, it isn't extremely playable. It's not in demand as a card. The value of a lot of these, you know, higher end collectible cold foils really are dependent on how playable they are. Because players want to bling their deck, right? You want to bling your deck. You want your cards to be really shiny. You know, you want to flex on your opponents when you beat them, or whether you lose, but you've got nice cards anyway. I completely understand. So that's when these cards are going to be picked up, right? Because a lot of people don't have the attachment to these cards that we had. You know, loads of us that entered the game early on, we've got that nostalgia, right, that drives us wanting to collect these cards. I like the old school artwork. I like that very fantasy sort of mythic kind of artwork that we've got with a lot of the earlier sets, especially those first 3 sets. You know, moving obviously into Monarch as well, but those first 3 sets are special. So it's nice to pick that up and have that in the collection for however long they have it. I did sell the 9.5, it's a Quad Plus Hope Merchant's Hood cold foil. I did sell that to Souls TCG, aka Tom. I believe that was £120, which, you know, in this market is obviously fair. You know, I could have held on to it, but cards like this, you know, I mean, I've had the card, I bought the card raw in 2021 for £200. And I graded it with a BGS 9.5 and it cross-graded to a PCG. But cards like this, you know, it goes into Tom's collection. It's a card, he's doing the cold foil alpha set. He wants to do a quad 9.5 set. So it was nice that, you know, a card that's going to be in his collection came from me. And the journey of TCGs and the collectible card games and the trading and the community, it sort of continues. A couple of other ones I want to talk about as well. We had a gold foil Metacarpus nodes. That obviously is a Crucible Ore cold foil, but this was the gold foil version, and that sold for around £800. So it's just over $1,000. I think a couple have sold around that price, so that seems to be a fair assessment of, you know, the value of 1,000 to 1.1k. Again, really nice card. Wizard arms. You know, the cold foil of it is beautiful. Obviously, the gold foiling as well is really nice. It's one of the particular cards that do look really good in gold foil. So, you know, great pickup for whoever picked that up. And that was on the 12th of October, so just last month. We've also got quite a lot of sales, really, for sealed. We've had Arcane Rising and WTR unlimited cases selling for around £200 to £250. Now, that isn't something that's extremely common in the UK. We don't often see cases. I know Hobbiesville in Canada had cases for a long period of time, so a lot of Americans were importing them, and they, you know, they had access to WTR and Arcane Rising quite cheaply, whereas obviously important for us was, you know, a lot more expensive. But, you know, loose boxes have sold for around £55 of Arcane Rising Unlimited, which is, you know, really cheap. What else we got? We got Crucible War unlimited boxes selling for around £30 to £40, which has been happening quite recently. I picked up some boxes myself, one of them of which actually had a tunic in, which, you know, makes sense, but it's me. So these early boxes can still be picked up for quite cheaply. We've got a Teklo Foundry Heart cold foil, which is a BGS 9.5, and that sold for £668. Again, around $850 to $900. Really nice card. It is a BGS 9.5 as well. It was a Quad Plus, so a really nice card, very pretty card. That was on the 19th of October, so very nice card. Again, I've got these converted to UK because there's not many, if any, really people doing this kind of content in the UK. So, you know, Americans, you've got enough data out there, really, but this will also obviously aid as well. But for the most part, for my UK and European guides, you know, this is for you. A couple other ones I want to talk about was a case, so a brick of 24 of the IRA welcome decks. Now, I don't know what version it is. I don't know if it was the 2018 versions, which were the original ones that have the head jab comical, and it's the bronze on the autumn, edge of autumn. What else did we had? We had Super Sam cases for £220, which was mad. We had another Twinning Blade, it's a BGS 9.5, sold for $700. That was on TCG Player as well, so they do have the photos of that. That was not a quad, 2.95s, a 9 and a 10. So a very nice card as well. What else did we have? We had, oh, it was a grasp. So we've had, I think 2 grasps now, 2 9 graded Grasp the Arknight cold foils. Sell for around $1.1 thousand, so $1,100, you know, about £800 to £900. Really nice card, very popular, very playable card as well. Really nice, pretty card from Arcane Rising. Obviously, that is a legendary as well in cold foil. There was a Marvel, which is quite interesting because so it's PSA, this one. So it's a PSA 10 Marvel Crown of Dominion. Now, PSA obviously are not the grading company that you would like as a preference for Flesh and Blood. Obviously, it's completely down to preference. I would say PCG and BGS are the main 2 guys. PSA, I've cracked slabs and they've cross-graded, but where they haven't got the subgrades and it is just 9 or a 10, where Fab is so kind of, a lot of it is 9.5 in the middle. So you're either going to get a 9 or a 10 at the end of the day. With a lot of this stuff because it's just so in between. And then we had a 9.5 Master Cog cold foil that sold for $127, which I think was a really good price actually. You know, $127, so around £100 for a 9.5 cold foil Fable. That seems pretty cheap. What else did we have? We've had a couple of the Arknight Skull Caps as well going through. So we had a PCG 10, which I think slipped through quite a lot of people's hands, which was a PCG 10 Arknight Skullcap cold foil for $800, which seems really good. You know, very iconic card. Obviously, got reprints in Everfest. Very iconic, generic cold foil, legendary. You know, and in Rainbow foil as well. We had a PCG 10 Puffin Marvel, which was an adult, which was really nice. That's a really nice cool card as well. What else have we had? Another Teklo Foundry Heart, which was around $910, which was another BGS 9.5. We had, I thought it was quite cheap, a PCG 9 Mask of Momentum cold foil. That sold for $940. That seems really cheap. I think Raw is around 1.1k. So this kind of slipped through the cracks of a lot of people. Again, a lot of these cards that are on auction, they go into, not everyone's looking on eBay for Flesh and Blood. So, you know, it's a good opportunity to pick things up. I've picked up some really great deals on UK and US as well for eBay because not many people are looking on there. We had a Rainbow Foil Heart of Fiandal 9.5, it's a Quad Plus BGS, and that was $300. Again, I can't remember what Raw is at for Hearts, maybe $250. So that seems pretty good price. A Skullbone Cross Wrap, which was again what we just talked about, the card that I picked up, that was $627. I think they're around $700 usually, $600-700. So it sounds about right. We also had a Cold Foil Crown of Providence in a PSA 9, and that sold for $183. Yeah, Crown of Providence obviously is a really great card. Always been in demand. Obviously, just a very playable card. PSA is obviously a weird one. And I think that might be the end of my screenshots that I've got on here. There was also a Crucible of War first edition case that sold for £800, so around £200 a box, which in the UK is about right, to be honest. It's about as expected. But yeah, so there's a couple of little things, really. I think stuff is in the dirt. Super Slam you can get at distro pricing at the moment, which is great. You can get that in the US and the UK, I believe. So it's good to just crack some, honestly. I picked up Super Slam. I did pick up Super Slam, yeah. Is this Super Slam? Yeah, I did. I bought like 6 packs and I pulled the Gauntlets of Tyrannical Rex, the cold foil, which is nice. It's actually a really nice card as well. I also did cross-grade a couple of other cards. So I sent, which was a BGS. So I sent a Rainbow Foil Tunic, which is Quad Plus. That was a BGS. And then the highlight of that was my BGS 8.5 Fiendal Spring Tunic Extended Art promo. The 2 of the subgrades, which was center and edges, that was 9.5 before. Surface was the same 9 again as the BGS, but the corners got a bump, which I was pretty certain that was going to get. The subgrades it has is what I expected. I thought it was going to get a 0.5 subgrade. I thought it was quite harsh on corners. They gave it an 8, obviously. I felt that it was an 8.5. I didn't think it was a 9 or a 9.5. I thought it was an 8.5. Obviously, great enough cards over the years with PCG, PSA and BGS. I had a good idea with kind of what that card should have been. So coming back a 9, very happy with that. I know in the photos that I posted it looked a bit gold. It is silver. It's just the colour in it. I was here at MCM. So yeah, Fab was at MCM, which was great. Their store always looks good. They had the light and dark stuff, which I didn't pick up any of the stuff from there. Just sort of not really what I was looking for at the moment. Obviously, I'm going to Worlds next week. So that's kind of the focus, really. I picked up some collections recently. I don't think I have. I think I have some of the bits still here. Do I? Yeah. So I picked up a collection the week before last in London from a guy called Brendan. So shout out if you're watching this. But a load of Marvel Dragons, which I really like. So there's dupes of loads of them. It's like 2 of each Marvel Dragon, which was nice. And then some other bits that I've already sold. A load of Rainbow Foil Legendaries. A Cold Foil Grandeur of Valahai, which actually is the first one I've ever owned in Cold Foil. It is unfortunately damaged. These one snap, the Ultra Pro one snap cases that you have, they do often damage cards, even if you put them in sleeves. So it does have whitening around the edges at the bottom, unfortunately. So if it was, gradable, I probably would have sent it to be graded. I still quite like Cold Foils Legendaries being graded. There's a couple of Cold Foil Legendaries I've got that I potentially might drop off to be graded. Maybe player slabs as well, because people prefer those. But I'm pretty happy with the pickups that I've made again. I also brought a Breeze Rider Boots, which is not a quad, unfortunately. It's 3 9.5s and a 9, but that is a 9.5 overall Cold Foil, and that was £125. So a little bit step forward, closer to my Crucible of War First Edition collection, which, to be honest, I'm kind of not tracking. I know I need a Bloodsheath Skeletor in a Cold Foil 9.5. I missed one on eBay, unfortunately. I know I need quite a few of the rares in 9.5s. So, and then obviously, maybe the Arc Knight Shard I need to upgrade from a 9 to 9.5, but I might take it with me to Worlds and see if I can upgrade it, maybe a couple of $100 on top to get a 9.5, but we'll see. But yeah, I can't say I'm going to be regular with the Fab content, but I will be doing this. Obviously, I've got to do an Arcane Rising episode and just a TCG roundup video. I haven't done any content long form. I've been doing a lot of short form on Instagram and TikTok and stuff. But there'll be more content. I've got a vlog for MCM coming up. I will have a vlog for Worlds as well. It's literally in a week, so I'm quite excited about that, but also a little bit nervous. I haven't flown that long for a while on my own. Last time was actually about 10 years ago. That was the last solo flight that was that long. So, but should be good. Excited, obviously, to visit America, eat some great food, meet some great people, get some great cards. Play the game, collect the game, see the world. That's what it's about, right? Thank you all for watching. As always, please comment, like, and subscribe, and have a great day.